first question for you. What do you think will define the truly great brands of the next decade?
I think being courageous, daring things that nobody else does, changing the stories, changing the formats, doing new things. Yesterday I was talking about how photography 150 years ago changed art. It used to be that when you're a good artist, you could draw somebody really, really well, and then photography came. And the new artists, the people that are now modern artists, they had cubism, modernism, Picasso, bam, bam, splashing, Pollock. This was fueled by the technology of photography because doing proper things got boring. Photography did proper things in the most boring way for an artist. And I think that if we have AI, it's going to be quantity, 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 but nothing that stops you and grabs your soul and goes, wow. And I think the brands that can do that, the brands that can be the new Picassos and Moets and Pollocks of advertising, they will dominate the world and they will dominate the heart of the people and change and drive innovation forward.
I love the enthusiasm in your answer. This is beautiful. But okay, a sub question. What do you think, from which section of technology will the next brands come? Is it time for us to, forget the clothing brands, stuff like that? Do you think something like that will happen? Or while you were giving your answer, you were thinking about, classical brands, which are now on the market?
Yeah, I think if you are a brand that can become, let's say, what's called a lifestyle brand, where people can really identify with what you give them and where you can enrich the life of your customers, I think that's really important. And if you're young, that might be a skating brand or a sports brand. If you're old, maybe it's longevity or something like that, maybe it's different. But if you can identify with your brand because the brand improves your lives and upgrades your life, I think that is great. A brand always have to upgrade me. When I am drunk, and
I was never drunk in my life. I don't know what does it mean.
I have to work and I need some coffee. The coffee upgrades me. I was tired before, and then it upgrades me, and I'm not tired again. So the brand is about the change before and after. And I think if you do not surf or skate or something, and then you find a brand that gives you the courage to start doing that, you will notice that your life is better. So brands should improve the customer's life.
Can we say that it became a question of identity?
Oh, I totally agree. I absolutely agree.
It's a question of identity, actually.
Yeah, I use actually a brand in order to, let's start again. I think a brand is the mirror in which you see yourself. You look at it and you say, oh, I'm cool, I'm wearing this, and it's also the mirror in which the other people see you. So it's a self-identity, but it's also a society identity. It identifies, you identified by yourself and by the peers and by the other people. That's the tribal branding.
The tribal branding, I like that. We can. I'm just gonna draw now an example. Carhartt, for example, which became the sense of the identity for the New York hipsters. Yeah. And actually, it was a work work outfit. And it completely changed its approach. I don't know. I'm not old. I'm pretty young. I mean, I'm 30. I'm not young anymore, but I'm not old.
It depends on who you talk to. A 5-year-old, you're an old person.
Yeah. For a 5-year-old, I'm an old person. But for the 5-year-old, everything's old, and I envy them. I really envy them. But that was the question. Carhartt was probably, it was it was a workman's.
Absolutely.
And it completely changed its identity.
But I totally agree. But this is also true for jeans. In general,
yes,
jeans were workers' clothes.
Yes.
And what I find the beauty about that is that we're going back to the roughness, not the shishi. There's a humongous difference between the Prada, Gucci, Louis Vuittons of the world and Carhartt, jeans. Yes. One is, I think, honest, earthy, down to earth, and it gives you a true identity where you can. That you can embrace with your soul much better, and the others is more a superficial thing.
we are becoming more Werner Herzog, less Paolo Sorrentino, and that's what I like. Paolo Sorrentino is beautiful, but Werner Herzog, that's a grittiness. That's a true. That's the art for me.
Yeah.
Next question: is there still a place for intuition and instinct, or will data and prediction dominate creative decision making today?
I think it is your choice. I think both will happen, and I think the people that will use only data and those kind of things will become a little bit among us soulless. It's just function, it's just result. And when you have the creativity, it's the process. I give you a very easy example. If you look at ChatGPT, for instance, you immediately get a result. To me, that's like ordering pizza. You're hungry, you want a pizza, boom, the pizza is there. That's the result. AI can give you the result for your advertising campaign, for your marketing budget, all those kinds of things. If we cook a pizza together with a couple of people and we drink wines and it's all about the process. Maybe the result is even shittier. It doesn't matter. We had more fun. Because it is not just the final result, but it's the process. And I think if a brand can help you enjoy that process, that's rare. And the rare good is more valuable than the non-rare good. If everybody is functional, everything functions, and you get results, you have many, many, many results, like sand on a beach. But the diamond is the emotion and the process and finding yourself in a brand again and being able to love a brand.
Okay, next one. What advice do you give to the creatives? What advice would you give to the creatives who want to push boundaries in a risk-averse industry?
Avoid the risk-averse industry. You have to, if the industry you're working with, the company that employs you, the clients you have are afraid and risk-averse, they will never allow you to risk things. Because they will only look at the numbers, they will only look at the effects, and they will only want safety. And you will not be able to fight them and change their mind. You will not be able to change their religion, their belief in efficiency. It's much better if you're creative to look for an agency that stands for radical advertising, that stands for courageous things. And if that agency doesn't exist, create it yourself. I think the rare good of exciting marketing, handmade marketing, powerful marketing is extremely valuable, but it's not easy to find. All the gems in the world, the diamonds, you have to dig deep and you have to work. So don't just work at the next thing. That's probably going to be risk averse, as you said. Dig deep, work for it, and find something that embraces your style, that embraces your risk, your love for risks, and that helps you grow bigger than you are without the agency.
Well, that's very good advice. That's a good thing. So we're closing in. So another question. As me being a film director. So if I'm trying to bring cinematic energy into brand storytelling, for which I think it's very important, what advice would you give for making big creative visions resonate in business environments?
I think
could actually, I'll continue with the conversation we're having while coming down here. Could Werner Herzog could he do good adverts?
I think, again, it is what you define what an advert is. We heard many super amazing, high-level professional keynote speakers at this conference, and many of them talk about the shortness of attention span, the TikTokness. You have to be vertical. If you're not good in the first 0.4 seconds, your ad will not be seen and stuff like that. And I think that is true for a certain kind of ad that Werner Herzog could not do. But then there's advertising that goes deeper, that goes longer. And maybe a longer format is better. We all know, because we were talking about movies, we all know that when we are watching a weird French movie in black and white, which is not easy popcorn consumption, it might stay with us for years. and you will have this like feeling of, wow, it changed me, it will resonate later. So it's not a quick burn, but it's this wave that just comes boom, and takes you longer. And I think that can also be advertising. You can create a marketing campaign where the people all of a sudden feel this wave and it stays with them longer, and a longer cinematic format by Werner Herzog could deliver exactly that.
There is, this is actually a very good example with a black and white weird French movie. I have a friend, he's into tech, so he's like very tech driven.
Yeah.
And I told him like, my friend, have a look at Armacore.
Oh yeah.
Please, do you have 3 hours of your life? I have. Watch Fellini's Armacore.
Yeah.
He called me after the movie crying. He told me, what did I just saw?
You don't cry when you watch a TikTok thing.
No, because
and there's
it doesn't have
it's
any
flat,
emotional...
and then boom, it gets you.
Yes.
And that's the power.
There was a good cinematic ad by Mercedes-Benz, Hertha Benz, first woman to drive a car.
Yeah.
That's a very good, that's a 3 minute or 4 minute movie.
Yeah.
So do you think that could be the future of the filmmakers in the advertising industry, to make like short films which are connected to the brand and stuff like that? Is there a space to do that? Or why the brands don't do that? I mean, I know the budget is always a question, but...
I think a budget only depends on how big is your brand, how much budget do you have. Mercedes-Benz has the budget.
Yes.
And Mercedes-Benz and all those other big companies, what they probably do is they have the short, quick TikTok ads for the people that like that, and then the deep ads for the true fans. The deep ads for the people that have a different feeling about the brand and actually would enjoy to love the brand even deeper. And as I said, with a vertical TikTok thing, you will not increase the depth of your love. But with a more cinematic, longer ad, you definitely will. So I think if you can afford it, try both. But beware that the measurement, the efficiency measurement, will not push the longer format. It's not efficient, it's not quantity, it's quality of engagement, it's deeper, it's bigger, and it's greater, and
that is the difference about that we were talking about that in our second question, data driven and instinct, because this is instinct, because you will I'll remember forever that commercial. I don't know if you saw that one. It's with Hertha Benz. She's driving a car to the village in Germany, and the car breaks down and stuff. It happens. There is a pure storytelling in it.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful.
But you still remember it.
I still remember.
Do you remember the last TikTok video?
Of course not. I mean,
exactly.
I'm not a big fan of TikTok, so But no, my girlfriend was always sending me reels, and I'm like, okay, come on, don't push it. Don't push it. Leave me to enjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. This was beautiful. This was beautiful talk.
It was my pleasure. Fantastic.
Cut it down. So.
Thank you.
Cut it down.